Hello, happy Sunday. Hope you're doing well. This is the beginning of week 4 of ELC 684 summer session. Like I told you a couple of weeks ago, this is a short summer session. It goes very quickly. There's only 5 weeks in the course, and now we are beginning week 4. So today my goal was just to give you a couple of updates about things that are coming up this week. We might review for just a moment about things that we've discussed, and then also look forward to not only the concepts from this week, but even that final project that's due about the 17th of June, because it's really only about 2 weeks away. I hope you're doing well. Hey, some things we discussed last week. We spent some time talking about church-state issues. Your case study that's due this evening was actually about a beloved high school football coach slash FCA leader, and you'll have to make a decision about whether or not he is violating the Establishment Clause or whether the Free Exercise Clause covers him and covers the students. So that's a memo that you can write either to the coach as a letter of reprimand or to the parent as a letter of support and explanation. So you'll have to make that decision. Hope you have a good time with that one. Last week we also talked about recruitment strategies and effective hiring strategies. I asked you to reflect on your own experience of how you were recruited and how you were hired, or how your school is currently doing those things. And then this week we'll move into teacher induction and support. Once those people are in your building, how do you support them? How do you onboard them? How do you make sure that the effort you put into recruiting them and getting them into your building doesn't result in them walking out at the end of the year or only giving you 2 or 3 years? Because we know a super high number of educators leave the profession in only a very short amount of time. So we'll talk about some of those things, and there's some articles for you to read this week. Also, your teacher working condition presentations are due next week. I know many of you guys have already begun working on those and have sent me some ideas and questions. So if you'll follow the framework that was in last week's PowerPoint, you will do just fine on that, and I look forward to seeing those presentations. Every semester, these presentations end up being something that students take to their principals, and their principals say, man, this is great. Will you present this at the next leadership team meeting? So it's great to be able to use that data and use it at your own school and turn it into something that's valuable for yourself. Hey, to open the PowerPoint for this week, I was reading just an excerpt of Daniel Pink's work about what motivates us, and I was going to ask you just to reflect on your own motivation. I don't know if you can see the image on the screen here, but it's in the PowerPoint this week. It's a group of men in the 1920s. They're sitting on an I-beam in downtown Manhattan, and it looks like they're probably, I don't know, 100 stories in the air. What would motivate those guys to get up there and to do that kind of work? I don't see any pulleys. I think OSHA would probably be freaking out right now. These guys are up there eating lunch and reading the newspaper 100 feet off the ground. What would motivate them to do that work? Well, that's what I'm asking you, because as an educational leader, you are consistently having to motivate other people. You have to motivate teachers. You have to motivate students. Sometimes you even have to motivate parents. So how are you as a motivator? Pink tells us that there's really 2 different types of motivation. You know these things, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. But the way that a lot of business leaders and community leaders and even educational leaders often try to motivate people is with what we call carrots and sticks. You know, the carrot is what you dangle out in front of the mule to try to get the mule to move forward and to pull the plow or to pull whatever weight is on his back. That's the incentive. It's dangling out in front. And you could think about that in the world of education. What are the carrots in education? Well, we offer incentive pay. We might offer bonuses. We might offer promotions. If you do X, then you receive Y. And we do this with students as well. Grading might even be a type of carrot that we dangle for students. So thinking about how you as an educational leader, do you use incentives? Will you encourage people with those types of opportunities? Some people also use the stick. If you can think about that same mule, if he won't move for the carrot, well, maybe he'll move for the stick when I whack him on the hind end. That fear of discipline or that fear of failure is also something that motivates us. Now, both of those things have their place. But what we're really looking for in leaders are people that are just motivated from within. They're motivated from this idea of being self-autonomous and being able to kind of do their own work and be self-directed in what you do. If you think about the moments when you're most satisfied, it's probably when you're doing something that you have complete control over, you determine the outcome, and it's something that's self-fulfilling. So just think about that as an educational leader, because some people have to be motivated with carrots. Some people have to be motivated with a stick, and some of the letters to file that you've been doing are ways to be sure that you're holding people accountable, maybe even with a stick type mentality. But you have to find a way to instill in the people that you lead the idea that what they're doing has some purpose greater than the paycheck and greater than avoiding the disciplinary file. So think about those things and reflect on it as you go through the PowerPoint this week. That's just a little something extra I wanted to share with you this week. Hey, in the PowerPoint this week, we're going to be talking about teacher induction and support, not only at your school level, because as a principal, when you hire someone, you need to have an onboarding process by which you bring them into the organization, but also at the district level. What is your district currently doing to bring people in, to onboard them, to make them feel like they're part of something big? Now, some districts that you work in are very small. I've talked to some of you, you're in a district that has like 4 or 5 schools. If you're in a district like mine, we have 120 some schools, so it's a very large district, but still, there needs to be a process to induct teachers. So think about the process that's in place. Is there a beginning teacher support program? Do we have mentors on site? Do we have buddy teachers? What are we doing to help support those people to be sure that they are successful? There's some articles that are posted this week about taking care of new teachers, supporting those novice teachers, and also the veteran teacher. How do you help veteran teachers grow? Because it's not just about inducting, it's about supporting teachers and helping teachers to grow. Those of you who either are a veteran teacher or who have worked with veteran teachers, you know the tremendous skills that they bring, but you also know that they need support as well, and they need to be challenged, and they need to be pushed, and they need to be recognized for all the great things that they can bring to your program. So think about those things. Hey, the last project for the year is the Human Resources Project, and it is going to be due on June the 17th. There are probably 3 or 4 slides in this week's PowerPoint that guide you through just thinking about that project, because the articles that you read last week and the articles that you read this week and the articles that you read leading into next week are all going to be wrapped up in that HR project. There's really 4 key areas for this project. It's about recruiting, retaining, supporting, and evaluating teachers, but there's also some components and a plan that you're going to put in place for each one of those. And one of the things that the assignment asks you to do is to provide some research-based ideas or strategies about how you will do those things. So all the articles that you're reading, be sure you're notating key points that are there so that you can cite that in that HR plan. Okay, that's it for this week. Enjoy the PowerPoint presentation, read the articles. The discussion board is going to ask you to respond to several prompts based on the articles that are provided this week. So I look forward to reviewing those things. As always, if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I look forward to closing out week 4 with you and moving into week 5. We're going to do this thing together. Have a great week. Thanks, guys.